Competition starting to get thick, it's the click, so I hope you work your A game. Amen, no rain from the track when we unite and spit. This isn't A game, better bring your A game. Competition starting to get thick, it's the click.
Original thoughts when he got fired, man.
So I'm working right Saturday, and I was shooting a wedding. Because again, I teach 5 days a week, and then I decided to work on Saturdays because I don't ever want to see my family. Apparently, it was the dumbest decision I ever made. So, but anyways, I'm working on Saturday, and then all of a sudden, my phone just starts vibrating like crazy, and I'm like, "What's going on here?" And I look down, and I'll be damned. It was I heard it from you and John at first, Muse, and I went, "Holy shit, they did it! I can't believe they did it." And I couldn't believe it. But like when you read about it, like when you read the Observer on Friday and you had the 3 different versions, despite what Matt Coon's trying to push on everybody, there were 3 versions in it.
Yeah.
The one where he went after sounded like he kind of went after Tony was definitely the worst one. And Tony can sit there and say, I feared for my life. You look at Tony Khan, he's like 135 pounds. CM Punk might not be the greatest fighter in the world, but I'm pretty sure he can beat up Tony Khan.
Yeah, if there's only 2 people in the company he could beat up, it's Tony Khan and Jungle Boy, and he looks like he went after both of them.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, but it had to happen, man. Like, and again, I say this is a huge CM Punk fan. I am. I love the guy. Well, the guy's work. The guy, human being. He was nice to my kid when he met him. If you attack the boss, man, it's over. It's over.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You keep doing this. Keep doing this. You can't keep it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
No, it's like, and I've said this on the show before, it's like every time I walk into a room and I think everybody's an asshole, chances are I'm the asshole. And I might need to go do something else. There's something about me that I need to get fixed. And I think that about him. Yeah. I don't think it was ever going to work again. And honestly, the people in that company that were against him, they were never going to go to his side, and they were going to keep antagonizing him until he did something like this. It just didn't take them very long to get what they wanted, right? And I don't know that Jungle Boy intentionally did this to try to get him fired, but he had to know that there was something was going to happen with this guy, whether it was going to be right there in that moment or eventually something was going to happen because of it.
Well, I'm seeing Suit Williams in the chat tonight, and he wrote a great article for Voices of Wrestling talking about the way that Punk was really antagonized was by people not engaging with him.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's what really tended to set him off. And it was like, and I love how Sue painted this in his article, was it as Punk as this master manipulator controller, like fashions himself as one. And the fact that he couldn't get the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega to kind of play with him really kind of set the dude off. Right? So, I mean, I think that's just kind of where we are is we got a guy who has very, very serious control issues. I hate to diagnose a dude, but that's kind of where we are with him, right? So what else? I mean, what else could we have done? What else could happen?
I don't know, but if you listen to like a Punkanon or the or the Punk truthers that are out there, they should have fired Jungle Boy, the Elite, and Kenny Omega, and anybody that doesn't like Punk. That would have been the best answer, according to those types of people.
No, I am happy that Jack Perry is under suspension for this because he certainly isn't innocent. But as I said last week on the show, he didn't do anything that CM Punk wouldn't have done at the exact same age.
Absolutely. And you know what? Punk leaking the shit to the media was not cool. And if he would have went to go talk to Punk about it, we saw what happened last time people went to go confront Punk. He started swinging on him, and so he felt like this was the only way to get redemption. It was a bad way to do it. There are other channels to do this stuff. There are other ways to get this done. And sometimes no reaction is also appropriate, especially when you're kind of lower on the card. But that's just like pro wrestling ranking systems, I guess, that don't really exist. But that's just kind of the mentality there. The best thing for him to do would have been nothing because people were going to forget about the rumor about the broken glass. I think, honestly, I had forgotten about it until he did the thing on 0 Hour. So he could have just let the thing go. But he had to say what he said, and then Punk should have just let it go, but he's not capable of that. So now here we are, and this is completely Punk's fault. Now, Jungle Boy's a shit stirrer. He absolutely deserves suspension, but I think he'll be back and he'll be just fine. He'll be right back in the same position he was in before he left.
Yeah, he'll eat a couple L's and they'll teach him his lesson. But how is it any different than Punk in the workers' rights promo, right? Nobody thought nobody thought anything about that until what happened, right? Like
Yeah.
Punk mentioned it again, and then it's a thing. So they got to realize that these guys got to realize that most people don't pay attention to the kind of shit they're talking about, right? Just let
Mhm.
it die because we don't really care. Like we forget about what happens week to week on these shows anyway.
Dude, you know what? Nobody's talking about Cash Wheeler pulling a gun on somebody on the highway. Like, and that
That's
just
true.
happened a couple weeks ago. And it just blew over. Like the news cycle happens so fast. You really got to let a lot of this little shit go. But a lot of these people, they don't know how to, relieve themselves of resentment. And it's like one of those things I always tell people. It's like when you're holding on to resentment, it's like drinking poison and hoping the other guy is gonna die. You got to let this shit go. You got to figure it out. Calm the hell down, go to work and try to be as nice as possible, right? But these are adults, and for some reason adults cannot figure out how to work with other adults because they're stupid. And speaking of stupid, Ace Steel was also released today.
It's the least
I
surprising
don't
firing I've ever heard in my life.
I don't know that he's stupid, by the way, but he did bite somebody, so
He
he's
bit
always
a
going to be a
man.
legend. He's always
He-
going to be a legend for that. Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna be honest. I have not. I have bitten a man in the middle of a fight, so I cannot,
Yeah.
in good conscience, say that was a stupid thing to do because
Yeah.
I'm guilty as charged. But I mean, like
Yeah.
this dude couldn't go to work; he was working via Zoom every week.
Yeah.
So I mean, how long do we expect this to last? Like, of course, he's there to appease Punk. Punk's not a thing anymore in AEW. So
Yeah.
the Ace.
Yeah, I figured it was only a matter of time, but I did think it would be a little bit weird to fire him after Punk did something when he was not there. Like he didn't actively do anything this time to get fired. So I get the feeling this might have been a mutual thing, right? Because he is an
Mhm.
employee there. You can't fire this employee because this other employee did something wrong. Just because they're friends, you can't do that. So
Correct.
there had to be and I don't think that AEW's legal team would allow such a firing to happen. I get the feeling that this is like a mutual thing.
Well, the release said it said he was released from the company. It didn't say he was fired from the company. And I'm sure with
Yeah.
Punk gone, he doesn't want to be there. They fired his friend,
Right.
and he knows he's really not welcome there. So I mean, like, what's keeping them? What's keeping this relationship together? Nothing. So it makes perfect sense. We can see whatever they wind up doing next.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of what's next, what do we think is next for CM Punk? And I got a quote here from Sean Ross Sapp, where he stated that he thinks 20%, that he would go to WWE, and we've actually heard some rumors that WWE might be interested. Cody specifically had possibly reached out to him. We don't know that for a fact. We just have been hearing stuff like that. There's also the school of thought that he might never come back, and I think that's where I'm at. I think that I'm on the train that he will never come back. But Sean did say that he thinks that there's a 30% chance that he would go to One Impact Wrestling, where his good buddy, his good friend, who he happened to be at a baseball game with over the weekend, Lou D'Angeli, who is the I don't think he's the EVP, but he's like the vice president of production or so whatever he is in live marketing and ticket sales and stuff like that. He's doing a great job for them. They're all their numbers are up in those departments.
There.
And that Impact was then PW Insider put out a report that Impact was excited about the possibility of him coming in, which is the most Court Bauer leaked story I've ever heard in my life that was not from Court Bauer. It reminded me of the time that Court Bauer leaked to PW Insider that he was seen outside of Viacom headquarters. I don't know what he was doing outside of Viacom headquarters. He might have been just like looking for trash or something. I have no idea.
Panhandling.
Yeah. He's just getting coins, but he was absolutely there. But yeah, what do you think he could be doing next, man?
I think he should be doing the retirement. I really do. I don't think this is good for him.
No.
Like I don't think professional wrestling is good for his temperament. I think that it brings out the worst in him. Right? He seemed like a happier human being when he was getting his ass kicked in the octagon.
Yeah.
I just don't think pro wrestling is good. And I know because we're in a lot of Impact groups and stuff like that. I know people are excited about the possibility, and I know that you've been nothing but fanning flames on this one.
I
So
have not been helpful. No.
no, never. And I just saw, when he left, I'm like, I asked myself, like, how long is it gonna take for Mike to start this going? And then I looked like,
I
oh,
probably already have
5
the meme up,
minutes.
yeah.
5 minutes. Mike was ready with the meme. Here we go. I
Yeah.
I just don't think it's good for him, man. I just think for his own sanity, he should retire because like this has happened multiple times now.
Yeah. So the thing with him is I think he might have had like some movies in the works, but now there's like the SAG strike, so who knows when
Mhm.
that's going to end. So he might be sitting idly by. I think that maybe he found the bug again for pro wrestling. If he does come back, if it's WWE, look, I don't think Impact is a real possibility there. I think Suit Williams says that it is a possibility. Like the sun burning out tomorrow is also a possibility. So he's saying there's a chance, Suit Williams. I think that, if he does come back, if it's WWE, if it's New Japan, if it's Impact, I think that he should do the Brock Lesnar deal where he's like, I will come in every few months. I'll have my guy that I work with, we'll do the deal, and then I'll take off again. Because him coming back and being around people all the time and traveling week in and week out doesn't do any good for anybody. And honestly, like, he will have the initial spike in ticket sales and ratings, and then they're going to go right back down to where they were before or even lower. And so if you just keep bringing him in every once in a while, which is what he fought against while he was in WWE, by the way. He hated when The Rock would do that. He hated when Lesnar would do that. But I think he is that guy now to where they need to bring him in occasionally and kind of work that type of schedule just to pop certain ratings and work the bigger shows, if he's going to do it at all.
I don't think he's got the temperament to be that guy. Because I think he would have been he'd be that guy in AEW. I think he could have been that guy there, and he doesn't. I think part of him still resents the Rocks and Cena's for that kind of stuff. But at the same time, if you're WWE, do you need him? They're winning right now.
No.
Like,
no.
It's funny to me. It's funny to me. He goes, well, Cody reached out. Oh, that's funny. We heard that awful quick. Like that story got leaked really fast. Wonder where that came from.
Yeah.
Because we hear it's funny, whenever something happens with the Punk camp, we hear from the same couple of people, and it's like, oh, I know where that came from. I know exactly where that came from. Okay. So I think CM Punk. Oh, go ahead.
Sap basically spilled the beans that Punk was like a source for him on the Punk stuff a lot lately. I'm not surprised either. It was just like, all this stuff that's coming out like to Houseman and to these other folks, it sounds like it's a direct from Punk, and I'm like, hey, that's good sourcing. Like that's what a journalist does.
And he never source.
It's a bit weird to out him now, but he's just like, no, I was just talking like Punk was the source. And so like on a lot of this Punk stuff, not all of it, but some of it, it was like, I directly was talking to him. And he's talking to everybody.
We know guys that were directly talking to Punk. So Punk, it's so funny to me. They were talking about that. Punk was like, oh, the media. Dude, you're the one who talks to the media. Right? I mean, it's like it was like Paulie Dangerously bitching about that back in the ECW days. It's like, who do you think you are? If I'm WWE and I know this dude is going to get into it with somebody, it's just his nature, right? He is the Scorpion, right? The old Scorpion and the Frog story.
Mm-hmm.
He's the Scorpion. You pick up the Scorpion and you're like, I knew it was going to do that. Right? And did they really want to stick it to Tony that bad in WWE? I mean, they're already winning. I don't want to say they won because like AEW exists, it's functioning.
Yeah.
It's got its ups and downs, but I mean, like they didn't kill it. I don't know if you want that. I don't know if Impact does either, because Impact's working right now. Like I know you'd love to have CM Punk, but how long till he freaking turns on everybody? Right? How long till he's burying Josh Alexander to the Sean Ross Sapps of the world, right?
Yeah. That would be my worry. And I've covered Impact pretty deeply for a long time. And the one thing about them is they're such a happy locker room.
Yeah.
like they all like legitimately like their family and friends in that promotion. And that's why they hire a lot of people from within. Like Josh Alexander's wife is one of the ring announcers now, right? Like that's just the way that they do things. Like Alexander and his wife moved to Windsor's to be closer to Scott D'Amore and like Giselle Shaw. Like they're all like this tight knit family there. Like Jessica Havoc can't get a job anywhere, but she's been in Impact for like 15 years or something, like 10 years. You know what I mean? It's just like,
if you can't function in that locker room, you can't function. Tessa
Yeah.
Blanchard. Like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I,
You,
I
you,
I
you
I mean, like, is the CM Punk juice worth the squeeze? Because Impact's never gonna run like big arenas, right? They're gonna run Impact arenas, which you're selling out anyway without them. Like you
Mhm.
can upgrade a little bit, and his drawing power has been. We saw one thing is for sure: his drawing power was hurt by Brawl Out.
Yeah. Yeah. It
You don't
was.
think it's not going to be better now? You
Yeah.
know,
I mean, like domestic ticket sales were not doing good when he was still there, and they're still not doing good. Overseas, like obviously they just did Wembley Stadium. They come right back to North America, and they're right back down to earth. So,
just like
like
WWF when they ran Wembley '92.
just like TNA when they would go over there, they do 8,000 in Wembley Arena, and they come right back to the Impact Zone with 500-600 people. You know what I mean? It's just like it is what it is, right? And so, you know, I you're right. I don't know the juice would be. I know for a fact it wouldn't be worth it for the WWE. For Impact, I don't know. Like if you do bring him in, like what's the end goal, right? Because it's going to cost him more money than you're able to make, right? You're not going to profit off of him unless there's a television deal attached to it. And you know, would it be worth it for you to move off of your own network to go to another network? And would another network be interested just because you got Punk? Because they know for a fact that Punk might not be staying long term, right? Because that's been his history.
How many guys? Punk came into AEW talking about how he wanted to work with all the young guys, right?
Yeah.
Who did he make as a star in his time at AEW? Like who did he put over and make look great?
Yeah, he never lost to Darby, did he? No.
Never lost to Darby, never lost to Max. He lost the one match to Max, but he won. He lost the Dynamite match, but the big chain match, he won that one.
I would say that MJF became a bigger star during that feud because it was so great.
Great.
I think he really propelled himself into a top guy during that feud. I think we look back and that's gonna be a pivotal moment in his career.
That guy's
that's me though.
No, I love that feud. It's my favorite feud in AEW history. I thought it was excellent. But that guy's been positioned as a top guy in AEW since Cody Rhodes. He was Cody Rhodes' little dude when he first came in, and they had a great match back at Revolution night 2020.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like Max headline pay-per-views before all this. So he had been a guy there, feuded with Jericho. Like that was a top guy feud. Like Eddie is Eddie, right? He's like, I want to work with Powerhouse Hobbs. I want to work with Ricky. Ricky was a baby face that people were loving, and they turned him heel for this Punk feud. And then Punk's gone, and Ricky cut that promo this weekend. That was a babyface promo.
Yeah.
So I think Punk derailed Ricky. Like I don't think anybody is bigger because Punk was there. Right? Personal opinion.
Yeah, you know, because like compared to WWE, and I hate to compare two different promotions,
hard not to.
two different things, but the Bloodline, I know they've kind of killed everybody, but they've elevated everybody at the same time. Like there are characters in their company that are now bigger just because of the popularity of the Bloodline. Like their popularity has kind of like trickled down to everybody else. And they made Sami Zayn. They didn't make Sami Zayn, but the storyline when Sami Zayn got into it became like this bigger thing. So now Sami Zayn's like an all-time big time guy. And then Kevin Owens gets brought into it, and now he's elevated back up once again from where he was before.
Kevin Owens worked with Steve Austin at the WrestleMania before that. In the main event of WrestleMania.
He did, but he kind of dipped back down for a little while, and then he came back up.
Because they booked him like that.
Right.
That's their doing.
Yeah. So he went down, he come back up into the Bloodline, and then now he's like this huge thing again. And Drew McIntyre, I still think that he should have won that damn match. But Cody Rhodes hasn't lost any steam. He's still just as big as he was before the Roman match. I'm saying like all these, but like now we're getting these other characters, right? LA Knight is like blowing up, right? I don't think that he gets the eyeballs on him without the Bloodline's popularity. Do you?
He's not been involved with the Bloodline. He's
on the show. The point that I'm trying to make is that their popularity is trickling down to everybody else on the show, and it's elevating everybody up. That did not happen with CM Punk. That was the point I'm trying to make.
I get what you're saying there. Yeah, I mean, like when Hulk Hogan was super popular, Greg the Hammer Valentine became a household name across the country, right?
Right.
Like, I get what you mean by that, but I don't think working directly with, unlike the point I was making, is Punk working directly with people didn't elevate them. Right.
Oh, gotcha. Well, yeah,
that's
and
what I
I
meant.
think, and that's been true of like Jericho and stuff too. Like,
I agree with that.
AEW outside of like their core people haven't really when you get here John is smart. John Muse pops in. When you get hot, it's easier to get secondary acts and others over. People are
Mhm.
more accepting. That's what I was trying to say, but John is much smarter than I am. He made it make sense.
John's
Yeah, you're right. And I don't think that Punk really made anybody. Jericho, he's lost to all these people, and none of them were bigger than before.
Competition starting to get thick, it's the click, so I hope you watch your A game. Amen. No rain from the track when we unite and spit. This isn't A game, better bring your A game. Competition starting to get thick, it's the click, so I hope you watch your A game. Amen. No